Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Chris and I wanted to give you all a quick update on some of the things happening inside the LMS. So I will start off and then hand over some of the new topics to Chris. First thing first, for advanced tax. We are adding a series of videos. You should see them start populating within the next few weeks. These will be on code section 1202, code section 754 elections, partnership basis, inside and outside basis, and how to do journal entries to sell your business. We will also be updating, the plan is to update the tax software as quickly as possible with the 2024 versions. A lot of the videos that are in right now are still 2022. There have not been a lot of large changes in the software. There are a few minor screenshots across the platforms that we support that have a few minor changes, so we will be making those adjustments. But the biggest adjustment that you guys are going to be excited about, I'm actually going to let Chris share, as Chris discovered this. As you guys know, one of the big problems that we have had is in the user field. And Chris, I'm going to let you take it and explain to them how this will change moving forward.
Yep. So I'm going to share screen so that everybody can see, and we'll show a bit of a demo of what's going on there. And then after that, we do have one other update that we're going to be talking about. So from our side, we were able to create automations in here to where when a person completes a course, it would add the next course in line. What this means is that now we're going to be able to give you guys access to add specific courses to be able to add either for the accounting side or for the tax side of the softwares that you're wanting to do. And in terms of the classes that you're going to need to add, you're only looking at basically adding 2 courses for each of the types, whether it's accounting, tax, or 1040. We're going to have all this information outlaid in that Trainer 001 trainer guide section for you. And the plan is that the week of the 30th is when we're shooting for getting this rolled out. When this does get rolled out, you'll be able to see all that information in the Trainer 001 section. But if you were to go to a user, you could be able to create your user at that point of putting in the first name, last name, email, and their username would generate from their email. Everything else would be to where you could just be able to add the user. And at that point, the course area is here for you to be able to select. Now, for this example, I used the accounting side for QuickBooks Online. So like I had listed in that Excel, we need 000 and 101 for that specific type of software. Having those 2 courses gets that trainee through the whole entire course. So I'm going to show you from the perspective of that webinar test user. This is how their view looks like at the beginning. They only see 000 and 101. 101 shows as restricted because they have to still complete 000, 001, 002, and 100 before they get into 101. But if they go into 000 and watch the videos and complete, and then go over the information and complete, the message tells them to go course list, and 001 has been automatically added to their side. It will do the same thing for 001 to 002, 002 to 100, and once they complete 100, this 101 unlocks for them to go into the actual accounting course. When they complete 101, it will unlock 201, then 301 and 401. So everything is set up in the background to where you will just be having to add those 2 courses to a user to do just the accounting side, or these 2 courses for the tax side, or in the case if you're only wanting to do 1040 only, it's going to be these 2 courses.
So as
The
you
other,
guys may, sorry, Chris,
no, go
as you
ahead.
guys may remember, this was one of the big challenges with the permissions issue in the back end of the software. You did not have the ability, while you could add users, you couldn't add courses without having the ability, or sorry, you couldn't add a course without having to add all the courses in the platform or in the sequence. And Chris was able to navigate through this process of automation in the back end of the software, where now when you go to set up that user, you'll assign these 2 courses and that's it. The employee or the learner is up and running at that point. So you will have control. You no longer have to send us the information to add the user. You will have the ability to add the user and add the course directly on your dashboard for the admin.
And at that point too, stuff like the pre-employment tests, like how you were able to add before, you will be able to add again in there. So any of the courses, you will be able to add them in. You technically can be able to add in accounting 201, 301. We just wanted to make it simple for you to where you only have to add 2 courses and you don't have to add the like 10 to 12 courses that are there for each of the different types. One other change that this will do from the tax side. Tax 101 has always been where the trainee has to complete the accounting side first before going through that tax 101. And that's why we had the tax preparer role versus the supervisor role. With this change, we are actually going to be merging those 2 roles together. What we're going to do is give the financial statement inside of tax 101. So that way, any trainee, if you're wanting them to start with tax first, they can go through tax and go through the whole tax side. They don't necessarily have to go through the accounting side first in there. Vince, did you have anything else to add from your side on that?
I believe there will also, one of the other changes that we are looking at, as some of you may or may not know, we added a WISP, the Written Internet Security Plan course, somewhere early this year. The way the WISP plan works is every employee can go through, per IRS guidelines, right? You are supposed to test each of your employees annually on the written or written information security plan. So we created a generic overall plan with 10 questions. Once they take that, it provides them with a certificate that you can put in their employee file. It then regenerates that course every January 1 so that every year they take the course and it gets updated. That will eventually be added into the 000, which is the Welcome To. It will become part of that Welcome To package where every new hire will automatically take the WISP plan, and at least there you'll be in compliance for IRS rulings. Now I know some of you do have WISP plans through third-party providers. That is something that we can talk offline if we need to disassociate that particular module from the startup module.
And the other thing too is that written information security plan is in each of your firm's course background. So when you have the capability of adding users in, you will be able to get that change added in there as well. You can add this to any of your users. All right, so one other topic that I wanted to talk about, and this is going to come out at that same time frame of the week of the 30th. We are updating QuickBooks Online currently. We're not updating to those new layouts just yet because of the fact that there still are 2 new layouts that they've input in. And actually in the videos that I've created, the file that we create shows one of those new layouts, and we show how to opt out of it, just in case a tradie runs into that. But the new videos are coming in. They're going to be for 2025 data. So they may be processing in September the whole entire 2025 year, but it will work for their process in there.
And Chris, won't the change also, going back to the change of adding the user, won't that change the reporting capability, what they will be able to see on the main admin screen?
Yeah, so in terms of the administrator side, the main thing that will change from like the training matrix view, and if you were to look at the user of the course, you're only going to see in blue / the orange if they're in the process of it, you're only going to see the courses that they're currently on. So if they were on 000, you're not going to be seeing 001 or 002. So like if I type the webinar person, you see that 000 is completed now. You see that 001 is not started, and you see that 101 is not started. So you're going to start seeing the courses get added as they complete through the course. So it's also going to make it look a little bit clearer too on where exactly they are at in the course. Same thing will go from the user view. If we were to go from the user view and I type in the webinar person, the courses are only going to show me those 3 courses right now because they only have access to those 3. Once they complete 001, it will show you that they're on to 002 at that point as well.
And Chris, a question arose as to how they delete users that didn't pass the LMS, and that you should just go to, under your administrator login, go to the user tab or the user screen, and on that user,
so
you can either deactivate them if you want to keep the data, which would be you click where it shows active. You can click them off of active, and that way you can keep the historical data. Go ahead, Chris.
Yep. Or you can click the more button to be able to straight delete the person. Now, I would typically prefer saying to do the inactive. That's what we've always kind of stuck to because then we're keeping that data in there. Especially, even if it's something like a pre-employment test, if a person failed and then they reapply with you, you're going to be able to see that that person failed previously. But if you do delete and you accidentally delete, there is a way in our background to be able to bring back those users from the permanent delete yet. And Maribel, I know you said that you don't have the option to delete. That right now is just because of the users not having that privilege yet. That's going to be coming at that week of the 30th to where you can be able to add the courses and that side of thing. Because the whole entire section of the users was blocked off when we added that reporting feature in. But now that we have the automations for the courses, we can add in the users for you to be able to add users, to delete users, to add courses to those users.
Yeah, Brent, the same thing. This will be available to you in about 10 days. Blaine asked a question as to will you be able to see dates each course was completed so they can determine how quickly or how slowly they're progressing through the course?
Yes, so if you're wanting to see a person as a whole going completion through the course, you can go into the user reports and go to that person and click on the courses tab. This will give the completion date when
And the
they've
enrolled
completed.
date. Brent, I can change that. We can charge per user if you'd like.
But it'll also, if you click into the progress bar, you can see when they've completed individual sections of that aspect.
And then also, if you dive deeper back, Blaine, the way that you used to, if you open up the course module, right, you can see that they spent 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever that progression is. So here under the course reports, Chris, go back one screen, please.
Yep.
If you go back a screen, so you can see on, oops, go to users. So here on the right-hand side, you can see the progress, and you can see the time spent on that particular module. And remember, each of the modules in their learning profile, the very first section on the module, it gives you all an estimated time of completion. This is also available in the trainer guide. So if you, as an instructor, if you go down to the very bottom of the screen, so in here, first off, you'll see under that first heading, it gives you an estimated time to complete of 6 to 12 hours. But if you go to the trainer guide, which logging in as an instructor, all the way down at the bottom, the trainer schedule, this is available for download. So up in the files section, you can download this as a Word document, customize it for your firm. But this gives you an overview of how much time we expect someone to set at each module. So again, day 2, they're starting module 101. That's 8 to 12 hours, depending. Now remember, this is for bookkeepers or staff accountants. If you're putting through a tax manager that has never been a bookkeeper, they may take a little longer because they don't think like your bookkeepers or your staff accountants. We have seen managers take as much, especially for the first 2 modules, we've seen them take as much as 20 hours to complete module 101. But typically once they get through module 2, we start to see their speed increase by modules 3 and 4. So Blaine, the targeted completion time, this is actually how we developed the overall time, and we've seen a little bit of everything. If I put one of my existing team members through 101 and they're used to the software, it could take 3 hours to complete module 101 for an experienced person. But a person coming off the street that maybe either isn't familiar with the software or is maybe a little newer to the accounting profession, that may be closer to the 12-hour mark to get them through that first module. The times that we see as we look, because we get to see all of your users, we have adjusted our times a little bit just because of what we are seeing for overall completion time. A really good example of that is those of you that use UltraTax as your tax software. I added this past year much more detailed videos diving into every folder and tab on the UltraTax setup. So it used to be that first 101 module should take about an hour, hour and a half to complete. Well, now there's an hour of video. So there's no way that they can complete that tax module in an hour when there's an hour of video. So we are adjusting all of those times based on the new data and the, we're continuing to adjust those completion times as we get more data.
And Maribel, with your question about the estimated times of completion compared to the employee's time, we can't have that in the reporting area of that user, but what we are going to have in that trainer 001 trainer guide section, there's going to be a full course sheet that shows a breakout of all of the courses and their estimated times. So that way you could be able to download that and compare it with the employees' times.
And Blaine, I love the idea of coming up with a rating across the universe, so to speak. Right now, without us able to share users across all branches, what we would have, trying to think how we would do that, Chris, because that really becomes part of our completion time, right? So if they're within 75% of this time frame, Blaine, I'll think about that and see if there's something that I can do for each of those courses to maybe give you that percentile. I tend to look at it as we know our really fast people in our office. Like I said, they finished module 101 within 3 to 4 hours. And our really slow people, 16 hours. And that was typically your manager that was never a bookkeeper. But when we saw the average bookkeeper, the average staff accountant taking it, we saw that really 6 to 10-ish time frame. And remember, the timer, this is something that we can't control, and it's no different than you guys controlling something like production manager. If they open the product, that starts the timer. But if they close the product and they go work on the account, it will stop the timer. So in the onboarding process, they need to be told, keep that module open while you're working on that particular client, because that is the only way that it knows to keep the timer running for that module.
And Blake, to answer your question about like lunchtime sort of thing, if they are inside of the course in one of the sections, it'll be tracking the time. If they are going to lunch, they could go back out of the course to where they're back on their homepage, and it won't be tracking that time anymore. On the homepage, it doesn't track the time. It tracks the time when they're in the actual course. And once they go back into that course, it'll leave off where they last left off on. So the section that they were in, they would go back to.
And Blaine, I think I have an idea of what to provide for you for that. Chris and I will go back, and at this point, we have probably over 1,000 people that have gone through at least 101s, 201s. So we have the ability to pull some of those numbers and give you an idea of, if they completed in this time frame, they are in this percentile. So we'll work on getting something of that nature done over the next, hopefully over the next few weeks as well. That will be in the trainer guide, because we don't want that information necessarily on the faceplate of the module. So that would just be a percentile, probably even put in the trainer guide, the bookkeeper, or sorry, the staff accountant schedule. And you maybe have that as a separate attachment inside that documentation. Yep, got it. The Excel spreadsheet, right? Something that you can just look at or pull up and go, wow, my employees in the in the top 10 or the bottom 10.
So like we said, guys, these are kind of what we're looking at in the close-up time frame. Vince obviously was talking about that. He's got other projects that he's working on in the upcoming time frame with the tax update side. But you can be expecting that first, the week of the 30th, that those updates are going to be coming in for both on you on the user side, as well as the QuickBooks Online update going into there. Did anybody else have any sort of questions before we kind of wrap things up here?
Before somebody jumps in for a question, I do want to remind you guys, we do take requests. So if you see something that you're having to train consistently, especially if you're one of the, let's say, tax reviewers, or you're reviewing your accounting staff, and you are seeing multiple individuals that you have to correct a specific item during tax season, or staff accountants that don't understand how to make certain journal entries. If you send that to us, if there is any way possible that we can make a module out of it, we will do so. This is why we are adding the items like Code Section 1202 and partnership basis, because we have gotten requests for some of these items. Or in our firm, we see the exact same problems where people don't, especially younger, less experienced, whether it's tax managers or staff accountants, don't fully grasp some of the more complex transactions. And so we are now trying to add those additional advanced modules to give them year-round learning. And if anybody has any questions or comments or suggestions, you can always email us at chris@mytasklms or vincent@mytasklms, and we will be happy to respond. So Blake, testimonial. Yeah, so again, Blake, thank you. Hopefully the LMS did exactly what it was supposed to do, which is sometimes we have employees that get through, or we have new hires, right, that they get through the interview process, they look good, they test well, but then they get into the LMS and they really have no applicable skill set, and they can't apply what they know. They're going to be slow and inefficient, and the LMS in this case, as you stated, it took your other employees 4 hours to complete, and this one was not even done and was at 16 hours and at 77% complete. They really hadn't even finished January at that point. So they resigned on day 6, so you were able to offload an inefficient employee very, very early into the process versus keeping that person for months and months and months before we realize it. So thank you. I'm glad to see that this is exactly how it's supposed to work.
And Maribel, what you're talking about with the Colby side, talking about like whether a new hire is likely or not to succeed. One of the things that we're kind of looking at right now is getting some sort of skill assessment test in here where we can be able to see where their weaknesses are and be able to focus on those areas rather than having to focus on everything at once. So that is something that's kind of a long-term project that we're looking at. And looking at even from the perspective of how we can get AI related into it.
So this would change our new hire, either the pre-employment or day one. They're call it an aptitude test for lack of, or a skills test. It would identify the areas that they're weak in, and that would build the training course around that. The other, and this is where I will definitely take requests. We have attempted to build the first rendition of how we upskill, let's say, a basic bookkeeper to a staff accountant to a senior staff accountant to a manager, and then move them up through those accounting principles, for lack of a better term. So similar to college degree, but more of a certification program to elevate their skill. We all know that the way AI is moving, chances are data processor bookkeepers will be replaced within 3 to 5 years, if not sooner. So Chris and I are trying to develop this upskilling that we can take them from data entry to where they actually have the ability to troubleshoot QuickBooks and find those errors and fix those errors. So they become more accounting consultants versus just basic bookkeepers that have to follow a kind of a preset preset guideline.
Maribel, with your thing with the GCT, so that's how we kind of built the pre-employment test structure. And we're actually looking at getting those tests updated in the near future on that. Taking
So
some of those true false questions out and focusing more on more options in there.
The pre-employment test that is currently in there, Maribel, has sections that would look very similar to the GCT. All right, seems to be about it. So again, we want to thank you guys. We yeah, they actually do the pre-employment at home. It is timed. We are always concerned that they can potentially have a laptop up or a cell phone up, and they're pasting those items into chat and trying to get the answers. So that's something that we're constantly looking at. We actually talked to a partner last week or week before at a conference that we may utilize some of their technology for our testing, which would then also allow them to, I believe it's a single login, single monitor. They can't have a phone. Again, we're just trying to prevent people from cheating the test. But again, as I was saying, as always, guys, please feel free to reach out, contact us. We are wanting this product to be used. We want you guys to put your teams through it. We want to make sure that we're providing the content that we can. There are certain things that we don't plan to replace. Like I don't ever see this taking the place of like a Gear Up 1040 seminar or basic tax knowledge, at least at this point. Those things that change that frequently are very difficult to program in, but we would definitely take your greatest hits and see what we can do to get this rolled into the software for you all. So thank you all for your time. And if you have questions once this rolls out at the end of the month, please let us know. But you guys should have access. Yay, finally, you guys should have access to add users, assign the course. Chris will send out detailed information to all the admins and the trainers of how to add a user and how to assign the course. And again, this just makes it so much easier for you guys, even though I know our team is really fast at responding to client ads or user ads. It's just so much easier if you guys have the ability to do that on the fly yourself. We have heard, we have yelled at the software vendor for years. Unfortunately, they did not answer the call, but Chris was able to kind of backdoor the software, and we were able to accomplish what we needed by tricking the software. So thank you guys. Again, we really do appreciate you guys. You guys help make this product better, and we look forward to your feedback.
Thanks, everyone.